This is the Spirit and Wellness Show. News and information from a higher perspective. With your host, Harry Wilkinson. Hello and welcome to the Spirit and Wellness Show. I am Harry Wilkinson, and this is the show where we take a look at the days and weeks events, happenings in the world, happenings in areas of technology, in politics, international news, everything that we hear about, relate to, connect with on a daily and weekly basis. Perhaps we hear about it through our social media, or perhaps through our various forms of communication that we have, whether it's your smartphone or your tablet, or through your laptop, or through your 24-hour cable news, or the old-fashioned newspaper. Does anybody read those anymore? Or also the old-fashioned listening to the radio on your way to work. But whatever it is, we are, it seems, continuously bombarded with stories, information with more or less importance or value, if you will, but information in any event. And quite often, because of the sources of these of this information, namely our media gatekeepers, quite often these stories have button-pushing qualities to them that can, cause discomfort, at the least, cause a feeling or a sense of being overwhelmed. And this can happen just from the sheer volume of information, never mind the content of it or the negative or positive aspect it may evoke in you. Just, again, the sheer volume of information that we're exposed to these days can be overwhelming and wearying. And so we need to have a way to handle all of that. And I see increasingly as the stories in our world change, the need to be able to have a way of dealing with them and dealing with the information that's out there that is healthful. It's a very important wellness tool, and that's what keeps me doing this show. As I explained at the beginning of most every show that I do, this is a way we have of dealing with that information without disconnecting from it. Many people who consider themselves to be spiritual seekers, and even those who are just looking for some more peace of mind, try to do a cleanse, divest themselves of all connection to media, turn all media off, disconnect from it. And I definitely recommend that a certain amount of time during the week or during your day that you do that. But as a consistent way of dealing with such things, to me, unless you're willing to live on a mountaintop and jump off the grid, there's no way to really practically do that. And you may do it for a while very successfully, but eventually it'll happen again, and that just causes more frustration because it's like going on a diet, and then when the diet, when things come back and you break the diet, then you feel worse than you felt before. Plus, there's an opportunity here that disconnecting from the media takes away, denies, and the opportunity is to actually go into these things in a mindful manner, feeling whatever feelings come up as a result of them, whatever discomfort you might be having, allowing that for a bit, becoming aware of that, becoming aware of where that's coming from, and then at the peak of it, and really only you know exactly when the peak of that is, but if you tune in within, you will definitely know. At the peak of that awareness is the time to change your perception. That's the time to remember that what you are dealing with, whatever that information or whatever that situation is, it's one that you have created. Not your regular everyday self, but on a much higher level. At the level of, for lack of a word, metaphysical existence. At our highest level of consciousness, we create these situations. Why? Well, for one reason, I believe we create them just for the sense of overcoming that they bring. But ultimately as a way of remembering the truth of who and what we are. That we are divine mind, we are connected, we are one, and we are not any of the false identities that we play with, weak or uncertain or scared or vulnerable. None of these things are we at the highest level of the truth of who and what we are. But we create these situations. You can think of them as virtual reality games, if you will, that feel extraordinarily real, deeply real, with much detail and all kinds of drama and emotion around it. But this is the energy that you put into the creation. This is the story that you're creating. This is the story that you are evolving with, if you will. And when you recognize that, and you can have a sense of awe about what you've created without judging, good or bad, negative, positive, but to just be aware of the enormity of what you've created and the complexity and the brilliance, the sheer brilliance of it. Because these illusions are brilliant. They make you feel like, well, depending on what it is, they make you feel deep, deep things. Fear, loss, anger. And it's all illusion. And an amazing illusion that you created. And once you recognize that and can appreciate that, you begin to take the energy back from it. You realize, I put my energy into creating this. And I can take that back now. Without wanting to change anything, just recognize that you put the energy into it and that you can take it back. And then once you do that, you've empowered yourself. And lo and behold, you will find things start to change. Things become different. And that works on a personal level for yourself. But I'll tell you what, it also works on a community level and ultimately on a global level. And you don't have to, I mean, you can mobilize and advocate and get groups of people together to do a group meditation or a group mindfulness activity. You can do all of that, but you don't need to. Just you. is all it takes. Because at the level of divine mind, we're all connected. So one mind is completely intertwined with the other. What one mind does affects everything else. So if you're motivated to do such things, it's great. The more the merrier, of course. And I know there are many people, leaders in the whatever you want to call it, the New Thought movement or the spiritual movement, who do these sorts of things. They have gatherings and trips to various points of energy, if you will, and conduct these group meditations or what have you. Sometimes they're classes. Sometimes they charge quite a bit of money for them. But it's not necessary, because all it takes is you. You and your mind and your mindfulness and your energy. So, okay, went a little further with that beginning than I wanted to do, but I feel like it's important to help people understand how to protect themselves in this time of overwhelming information. So in today's episode, we're going to be continuing our talk about AI, that's artificial intelligence, which is growing as we speak in research labs and corporations around the world. Lots of money is being put into developing artificial intelligences in varying ways. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the artificial superintelligence that ultimately scientists are predicting will emerge, and what that means. And we're going to talk about consciousness and how that fits in. So we're going to talk about that, but also we're going to talk about something that's very much in the news these days, and I call it Forgiving the Monster. I've called it Forgiving the Monster in this title because it seems to relate to what I'm talking about. But there's more to it than that. You may be aware in the past few months there have been a number of very highly publicized exposés, if you will, of famous people, particularly musicians, who have done, or people claim have done, and evidence seems to support their claims, that have done truly horrendous things to young people, to children. One such expose, well, I guess that the first one was a several-part documentary on R. Kelly. R. Kelly is a rap artist, very popular R&B musician, who, according to this documentary, did some very horrible things, sexually and otherwise, to underage girls. Imprisoned them, beat them, had sex with them, all of those things. He now has, and this is something that had been going on for many years. In fact, he had one trial where he had been arrested and brought to trial